No, stop! This boy is a Sinclair. I'm not gonna let you put your dirty hands on him!
I have to ask, with a resume like yours, why Roosevelt?
Please be on the lookout for a lost child.
You were gonna pay for this.
Danny, what? Did you follow me here?
Who's Danny? You know Danny.
Let's get you home.
I'm sorry. I couldn't live with myself if anything happened to you. I love you more than anything in the world. You know that? Denny, with his wide eyes and feeling totally in over his head, just nodded. As Fred continued to address the little boy he thought was Jake. Son, are you really that afraid of your mother? He asked. No, said Denny, somewhat clueless. Quinn was a wonderful mother. Why would this man think anything else? Then what is it? You can tell me, continued Fred. I know you might have been afraid to tell me the truth. That's okay. You're not in trouble. He tousled the boy's hair lovingly and called his assistant, Lance, to have dinner ready for them when they made it back to the penthouse. Over in Quinn's family minivan, heading in the opposite direction, Jake Smith was having a similar experience. He'd snuck into this car, and now the nice doctor lady from yesterday was calling him Denny. So was this little girl, and an older woman up front driving. It was kind of funny. He wondered how long he could keep this joke going. How about some chicken nuggets for dinner? Said Quinn, as Nora drove them to their house. Wow, I've never had chicken nuggets in my whole life, thought Jake, thrilled with the possibility of trying something new that he'd never been allowed to have. Yay! Both children yelled enthusiastically. Quinn was so tired and spent from this crazy day that she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. Hadn't Denny been wearing a different outfit earlier? No, that didn't make any sense. Quinn sighed, laid her head back on the headrest, and closed her eyes momentarily, thinking of what to do about her job at the hospital. She wouldn't tell Nora or the children, at least not yet. She would try her hardest to get her job at Roosevelt Memorial Hospital back. Fred Smith wasn't going to stop her. However, across town at Fred Smith's penthouse, her son, Denny, was now seated in an ornate dining room at a very long table. People were all fussing over him and still calling him Jake. The man in the fancy suit sat at one end of the table, and a lady with a lot of makeup sat on the other end. I'm sure your mother has been worried about you today, said Fred, gesturing to the woman at the end of the table. That's not my mother, said Denny matter-of-factly. She is. Now, come on, reiterated Fred. No, she isn't. Jake, we've talked about how hurtful it is when you say these things about your mother. Denny exhaled and looked up into the large crystal chandelier with amazement as a chef placed a plate on the table in front of him. The boy looked down at his plate, confused. What's this? He asked. The woman at the table clenched her jaw. It's veal bolognese, said the chef gently. The boy started picking at it with his fork, curiously, and eyeing it with suspicion. Veal bologna? Asked Denny. That doesn't sound very yummy. The woman exhaled loudly, her frustration evident. Fred cleared his throat. Chef Julian, will you please take Jake into the kitchen and find him something else to eat? I'm sure this is delicious, but it's been a rough day for him. Certainly, sir, agreed Chef Julian and accompanied the boy to the kitchen, thinking privately about how nice it must be to be this rich and be able to have an array of dinner choices ready at a moment's notice. He ran away again, and now he's refusing to eat his dinner? Complained Beatrice. And he's still arguing that I'm not his mother. You need to check him in somewhere, Fred. He's getting worse. No thanks to you. Fred narrowed his eyes on his wife. I don't know what you're talking about, cooed Bernice, but I'm sure you will enlighten me. Do you know why he ran away this time? Boomed Fred. Because he's an incorrigible problem child with mental health problems? Said Bernice. No. I learned today that you have been hitting our son. Is that true? Oh, please. Even the Bible says if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. You may let him get away with turning his nose up at dinner and having Chef Julian cook him something new, but I certainly won't. You're turning the kid into a spoiled brat, Fred. That's why he acts like this. I had a leading neurologist say today that Jake's problem is psychological. His extreme distrust and fear of you are what's causing him to act out. And if you're hitting him, we never agreed to that. I believe what my son is saying, that he's scared. You believe him over your own wife, who carried him in her belly. You think I wouldn't know my own child? Said Beatrice, sounding wounded. If we're being completely honest, Beatrice, I took your word for it. I'd just seen you for Christmas, but almost right after, I went back overseas for the army. Then our truck was blown to bits by that roadside grenade. It's the last thing I remember about my time in Afghanistan. Do you have any idea what it was like for me? Being in a coma for 3 years after something like that? Well, neither do I. Because I was in a coma, Beatrice. And then I wake up, and surprise, I have a son? I've never questioned you about it, not once. But now, I have questions. Jake is right. You don't cuddle or kiss him or treat him like other moms treat their kids. You act like he's just some nuisance, an inconvenience. I can't believe what you're insinuating, said Beatrice. That's cutthroat, even for you, Fred. That's enough. Just stop, said Fred with an air of authority. Pack up your things, Beatrice. I'll have Max watch you to make sure you pack only your own belongings. You are to leave this penthouse immediately. You will never hit my child again. You'll be hearing from my lawyers. Fine. You'll be getting the bill, said Beatrice, standing up and tossing the chair aside with a crash. I always do, mumbled Fred, who had spent hundreds of thousands per year on spa treatments, clothes, plastic surgery, country club memberships, and more for this woman. I'll take you to the cleaners, said Beatrice. You can try, said Fred. But that will be awfully hard now that I have the chief surgeon from Roosevelt Memorial Hospital able to testify to the fact that you were abusing your son. You wouldn't, accused Beatrice. To protect my son? Of course I would. I would do anything for him. I'm his father, regardless of what any DNA test might say. And you know that I'll be asking for one. You son of a b****, yelled Beatrice. I'm going to the Four Seasons, to the presidential suite, or whatever will cost you the most. Enjoy it while you can, sweetheart, said Fred nonchalantly as Beatrice stamped out of the room with indignation, shaking it off. Fred then noticed the boy, standing in the open kitchen doorway. How would he explain all this to him?
Hi, Quinn here, and if you're wondering what happens next, click on the link in the description to listen to the full audio series. You can also watch the next episode here in the playlist.